It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
And welcome to Car Con Carne. I'm James Van Alstyne. Still doing this from home. It is a car-based podcast. By definition, it's a car-based podcast. But, you know, the Delta variant's a thing. Corona's still a thing. And the enthusiasm in strangers to sit in the front seat of my car, eating pizza, sharing tacos, pretty low. Same with me. To share that space with strangers. And the optics are perhaps not so good. So for now, Car Con Carne back here from home. This is episode number 667. Holy crap. And as this is happening, the sister podcast of Car Con Carne, The Music of Chicago, just launched episode number 4. It is a podcast with music. And I know what you're saying. Podcasts don't have music. And that is generally true because of copyright law. And you can't share someone else's copyrighted content in a mechanical download, which is what a podcast is. However, all the contributors to the Music of Chicago podcast are the music license holders. And they have testified as such to the Music of Chicago via a sign-up form on carconcarne.com. All the music is provided generously by the people who created it, and it is all independent music from Chicago, the Music of Chicago podcast, episode 4, available on all the platforms. You can also link to it from carconcarne.com because they're sisters and stuff. Speaking of music here on this podcast, my guest tonight, this is exciting. Here we go. My guest tonight is Camille Rose Garcia. She's a punk. She's also a fantastic artist whose portraits are just dark fairy tale, super colorful things. But before we talk about your artwork, and I want to share your artwork, Camille, I want to talk about your artwork. I want to talk about your past.
Yeah.
Are you nostalgic for the past from your days playing in a band, doing the Real Minx?
Yeah, I am actually. I remember at the time because I had already graduated from art school and been through grad school, like the whole 6 years of that. And I got out, it was 94 maybe. And I just wanted to play music. That's all I wanted to do. And, you know, the way the Real Minx came together was very organic. And I remember at the time, like sometimes you have that moment where you're like, I'm never going to have this moment. Like, this is the time to do it when I'm this age, because whatever life I might do, you know, something else or painting or whatever. But I remember having that thought at the time of like, yeah, we're doing it. And this is the time to be doing it, you know?
So for context, the Real Minx music's been collected in a gorgeous 2-disc, 7-inch package on Sympathy for the record industry. Music from the 90s. Now, I remember coming up in Chicago in the 1990s. I don't think I had that sense. I knew things were awesome, but I didn't have that. I wasn't cognizant of the fact that it was a moment. Like it was going to, it was going to be one of those moments that people would pine for decades down the road. But you were completely self-aware as you were doing your thing.
I think I grew up in high school with a lot of musicians. They were a little older than me. And a lot of different cool bands that had various demises, you know, drugs, family, whatever, breakups in the band. So that was before I ever went to college. And I remember thinking at the time, wow, yeah, it's really hard to keep a band together. And it's even harder to keep a band together that's good, you know, because a lot of bands will stay together a long time. Maybe they're not that great, but they like playing, and that's its own reason to do it as well. So I think I did have that kind of thought of like, okay, it's rare to meet people that you can play music with, that you have a lot of fun with, and you have the same taste. And, you know, none of them are like psycho, bipolar, drug addict, pill head, thief. You know what I mean? Like all the things that
all the things. So let's talk about the trajectory of the Real Minx.
Okay.
For those who don't know the band, this was a West Coast. This was a Orange County band.
Yes.
Back in the 90s. How long were you together?
We were together, I feel like between 2 and 3 years. The first year was a lot of, we didn't play a show, I think, until we were playing for about a year. I had I had played in a band before in high school, but it wasn't consistent. So we were all sort of like learning together. Learning the chops. And then after about a year, it was like, okay, no, we're getting like this is starting to work. And so we started playing shows, and that was from the time we started playing shows, it might've been about 2 years. Yeah.
Now, was there ever a goal at that time to get a big record deal? Back in the 90s in Chicago, it seemed like everyone was getting record contract. Like bands would walk out of the garage one day and they'd be signed to Sony the next day. Was that ever on your radar, or were you just like, fuck it, we're punk rock?
Yeah, it was more fuck it, we're punk rock. It was never really a goal. We never even talked about that. I think because, I had a different trajectory for my career, which is going into the fine art world, which proved to be very frustrating at that time. We were all working different jobs. Lynn worked at Revelation Records. She was involved with music. Allie worked there too. And Paula, we all worked at the same coffee shop, but, it was more of just like, from the perspective of like, this is something we all want to do. And it's really fucking fun. Sorry. I don't know if I can.
I think I swore first. So.
Okay. And we wanted to keep it rolling. We wanted to play shows. And it was really like, the thing I love about music most is that it's collaborative, and it's immediate, and it's sort of ephemeral as well. So, when you want that feeling of like, oh my God, I'm nervous and I'm excited and I don't know what's going to happen, like be in a band and play live shows, because it's the best feeling, So we didn't ever, I don't think we had the idea that we were going to, be on some record label or go for the gold there. It was more like, can we sing and play guitar at the same time,
So tell me about what this 7-inch compilation is. Tell me about these recordings.
So this is so cool because we recorded, in the early 90s. We had a set, we had like about 10 songs. We selected a few to record with our friend Mike McHugh, who I didn't realize how good he was really until much later, because I didn't know anything about recording music. Like I said, I hung out with bands, but not recording, like in the studio. And back then you couldn't really watch a bunch of YouTubes about like, how do you do? What do you do? So everything analog, onto 1/4-inch tape. And, basically I did all the vocals in the first take, because I just didn't think, I was like, well, that sounds great to me. Like, it didn't occur to me to do it over and over. Uh-huh. So all the vocals on this record are the first take. So basically we recorded those. We put out one little single, which is 2 songs. We did that ourselves, but at the time we were all broke. We didn't have, I barely had $5, to my name, really. So we put out the little single, and then we kind of sat on the recordings. And we thought, maybe we'll do something with it in the future. And then just various life things. Like I moved to LA and Lynn moved to LA, and we both had really old crappy cars. We couldn't drive to Orange County for practice and play shows and work 40-hour week job, those things that happen. So basically Paula kept the recordings. Paula, who's the guitar player, singer, she kept everything intact and free from ruin or rain or mold or anything. She kept all the posters we did. She archived everything.
I was going to say, every band has its own archivist.
Yes, Paula's the archivist, because I was like, I never knew what happened to, I was like, I don't know what state those things are in. And so how we ended up on Sympathy for the record industry is Long Gone John, who owns Sympathy for the record industry. He's a big art collector, and he's a big collector of mine. And he always was interested in the Real Minx, and he loves girl bands. He loves women fronted bands. So he had put one of our songs on All Right This Time Just the Girls Volume 2. There's 2 volumes of that record. So we were on that, and he always was asking me like, oh, well, did you guys record anything else? And do you have those tapes? And I was like, yeah, we did record them. I don't know where the tapes are, And so by chance, Paula lives in Seattle. John lives in Olympia, Washington. I was doing a book signing in, I think it was 2019 up in Seattle, and John came up and Paula came to my signing. So I was like, oh my God, John, here's Paula, meet Paula. She knows about the tapes, like where they are, do we have them? And it was great. Like, she was like, yeah, I kept them. I have to, she had to do some process where you get them, I think, like baked so the tape doesn't stay sticky. And, he was like, okay, let's figure it out, and hear them. And it was so cool because I had not heard most of those songs that we did in like over 20 years. And when I heard them, I realized like, oh, these were actually recorded really well. And it's so cool to have that kind of like the one take and, we all played in the room together and that kind of thing. Wasn't a lot of like overdubs, all that stuff that you can do now, like endless changes. None of that was happening. So it's a very like raw recording of like a moment in time of an obscure girl band from Orange County in the 90s.
Does it feel weird or surreal to be to be doing interviews about the band this far ahead in the future?
Yeah, it totally does. But I'm kind of, so I kept kind of coming back to music after the Minx, like in between or, shows like, okay, I'm going to buy another bass. I want to get something together. And it's just been hard to really, do anything consistently since then. But yeah, when it kind of came together, I was already having the thought of like, there's no reason to not play music if you're older, if you're female, if you have kids, if you have a day job. Like there's just, it doesn't matter. If you love to play music. So yeah, me and Paul have been kind of talking about like, what, we should write some songs again, because we didn't realize at the time like how well our voices work together. We both sing, on a lot of the songs together. And, you just realize how rare it is to find something that works so well. And I guess 20 years later, it's like, okay, now I know.
That's awesome. And the pressure is kind of off. If you start doing more or reconvening the Real Minx, when you have your proverbial daytime pursuits, I mean, you can really just do it for the love of the game.
Right. Exactly. And that's like, there really is nothing more freeing for creative pursuits than if you don't have to monetize it,
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
And so this is like, we don't have to monetize it. We don't have to try to get on a major label. We don't have to do any of those things. I don't have any expectations of ever making money from rock and roll. And, I don't think anyone else does either. But in a way, it keeps it the most honest and fun. The second kind of trying to like, even with art, it's difficult sometimes, like what I want to paint versus what might sell well. There's always those considerations. But yeah, for art, there's always a lot of pressure. Like, oh, it's my career. This like, it's always really important, and not that music isn't, but music is sort of like my free fun space,
Well, so the 7-inch compilation, no surprise, it looks cool. The packaging is fantastic. I would expect nothing less. Even like the inner label, the circular inner label looks like something very classically like 1950s and old school and cool. It's just there's a poster included. There's a button. It's so where do people go to get a hold of this?
So you can get it from my web store, which is Camille Rose Garcia. What is it? CamilleRoseGarcia.com. You just click on the link that says store, but it's like Camille Rose Garcia store.bigcartel.com. So I have them on there, and that one comes with the special sign poster and the button. You can get them. No, I'm not sure. So Sympathy doesn't really have like a mail order thing in place right now. So I'm not sure like what stores are carrying the single, like a indie record store. I'm not sure of that information. So,
well, I think this is a fine excuse to go to your website and see all the other stuff you do, because we're going to get into that too. But what a cool package. And could you have ever imagined back in the 90s when the band started that in 2021, you'd be talking about vinyl releases? Like,
oh, Yeah, not
It's
at
bananas,
all.
right?
I mean, it's bananas, and I love it because I mean, growing up with records, like that was just the best format to be able to put it on and like listen to it the whole way through. I mean, I don't do Spotify. It kind of annoys me. I don't like any interruptions, in the record. I don't want a commercial.
Well, you know what bugs me with all the streaming services? The algorithms are always wrong. The recommendation engines never work for me. There's
No,
nothing has compared up until now with the recommendations of my friends or the people I know. Nothing has even matched
the
that.
robots are not going to figure you out the way that your friends will. That's for sure.
For sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so the website, CamilleRoseGarcia.com.
Yeah.
That's where you can go to get this cool compilation from the Real Minx.
Yeah.
But when you're there, if you're coming there for the music, oh my God, guess what you're going to find? You're going to find some fantastic artwork because you are a celebrated artist, book publisher, author. You've done all kinds of cool shit. I mentioned dark fairy tales earlier. That's kind of the way I see what you do. Dark fairy tales and glorious color. How would you describe your style?
Yeah, it is sort of like psychedelic kind of psychedelic fairy tale. I use a lot of symbolism in the work that has been sort of layered over time, maybe with Disney, maybe with early cartoons, maybe with, I don't know, just a lot of like pop culture kind of references. So yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
It's a really distinct singular vision. You see your artwork and like, who that artist is, what that artist's mind, like it's a very singular approach and I love it. Can I share some of your images?
Of course. Certainly.
I grabbed some things from CamilleRoseGarcia.com.
Okay.
And I wanted to just get some background, like where your head was at, what inspired it, where we can find this sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. This is like a pop quiz.
It is, but it's about you, so you're going to ace it. That's the beautiful thing.
I can remember some things. It's like, what? I don't remember making that piece. Like, seriously.
Oh, wait, hang on. Let me do this. Okay. I think I need to stop recording. In order to share the screen. There we go. Okay. It's been a while since I've done this. You think I'm never going to have to use Zoom again.
Yeah, I don't even know how to share the screen, or I would.
Oh, I can't even grab this stuff.
Oh,
damn it! Sorry.
That's okay.
This is like a rookie move. I haven't done the screen share for a while. Sorry about that. Oh wait, maybe.
Oh, tricks.
Maybe some tricks. Maybe. Yeah, no tricks. All right, I thought I could. Anyway,
that's all right.
What we would be doing right now is showing some really cool images. I do want to talk about one in particular because actually two in particular that I was going to show tonight. The first being the Snow White Black Lagoon. So it's kind of twisted. There are rabbits. There's Snow White. There butterfly wing. What's going on here?
I love watching your face trying to describe it. So that show I did after the Gulf oil spill, which was in, I don't know, 2012 or 13 or something. And what I was doing is I wanted to sort of take fairy tale Snow White and see if I could layer it on top of sort of some current things that were happening. So all of my work is really about kind of the intersection of nature and culture and that uncomfortable balance we try to keep while preserving our world, but, having commerce and capitalism and all the things that, keep everything moving at this pace, right? So that painting, I wanted to use the figure of Snow White as this sort of, I guess like a savior figure. So she has all these animals that she's sort of trying to help. She has like an alligator wrapped around her, a white alligator that she's sort of pulling out of the swamp and trying to rescue in a way. And part of that is like reading fairy tales and kind of trying to decipher their meaning. And I've read a lot about fairy tales, and every book that's sort of trying to decipher fairy tales or unravel has a little bit of a different take. But you'll find that certain fairy tales or certain symbols come up across different cultures. So, in Snow White, there's like the magic mirror and the dwarves, and those are all things that come up in this Mayan tale as well, involving a magic mirror and dwarves. And dwarves traditionally are, they represent like going into the earth and pulling out the jewels. So this sort of like mining thing, but about like, you know, this sort of the dark underbelly in the earth. So there's all kinds of fascinating things about fairy tales that you can find out. So for this one, I liked the idea of Snow White being this sort of, well, she's sort of a symbol of purity, but I liked it in this other way of just like sort of pure nature. So this like sort of savior figure, you know, fixing.
I love that.
Yeah.
And again, Camille Rose Garcia is where we can see exactly what we're talking about here. The other one I wanted to ask you about, I don't know anyone who's not a huge David Bowie fan, and you've got Hey Starman, right? I mean, this is classic Ziggy Stardust era, early 1970s Bowie glam with the eye patch. Obviously, you're a fan.
Oh, yeah, huge. I mean, I listen to David Bowie and the Rolling Stones and T-Rex probably on the daily in the studio, and I don't usually do like celebrity portraits, but when he passed away, you know, I was listening to everything for a few days, and I just started drawing his face, and I had this painting. So I think the one you're looking at is a smaller, maybe watercolor on paper. I have a bigger painting that I did of him that's called Fade into the Dark Stars, and that one, I had this painting started, and it was like, it had all this sort of like green and purple and plants, and I had nothing in the center. I didn't know what I was going to do with this painting yet. So he passed away, and I was doing all these David Bowie drawings and studies, and I looked over and I was like, oh my God, no, he's got to go on that painting. I'm going to do a portrait. Like, I don't normally do them, but I just wanted to, and you
made it very, very much you. I mean, it's definitely your spin, your take on Bowie. And because Bowie is Bowie, he means so many different things and can be interpreted. And so, there's no wrong way to portray David Bowie. You can never be too surreal with him or too left of center, because that's what he would have wanted.
Yeah. And he's kind of beyond human. He really does enter the state of being like a god or a myth or something. So he's easy to work with in the iconography of the work I already do. You know, he sort of represents the masculine and the feminine, and music and Orpheus and, you know, all these great kind of symbols, you know.
Most importantly, your favorite Bowie album.
Oh God. Oh, this is hard. Okay. So it's a toss up between, Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, and then what's the other one? There's three in a row from the 70s that are like those iconic.
So it's like Hunky Dory.
Not Hunky Dory.
The Berlin trilogy, which would be Low Heroes Lodger.
No,
or then there's Diamond Dogs, Young Americans, Station to Station.
No, hold on, I'm gonna have to look at my iTunes because I have like. But yeah, probably Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. But I'm like, okay, wait, which one's Queen Bitch on? Like that.
That's Hunky Dory. That's Hunky Dory. That's
that
fantastic.
One's so great. Yeah, I mean, so I don't. Yeah, it's hard to decide because
I love that guitar on Queen Bitch.
I have a live version that's like in like 1978 in LA, and they're like totally hopped up on cocaine. They're in Hollywood, but it's so great. Like. Amazing. Yeah.
All right. So to take it back to you, the Real Minx lives again.
Yes.
Right. A rising phoenix like from the ashes, reclaiming their piece of punk rock history. Sympathy for the record industry has pressed this onto glorious, gorgeous 7-inch vinyl. And if you buy the package, you get a poster and a button, and it's cool and it's awesome. That is available on CamilleRoseGarcia.com. We started to talk about the artwork. You're certainly at this point more well known for art than you are the Real Minx, although that could change.
Whoa, that'd be cool.
But you're certainly known as you're a celebrated artist and just illustrator and just visual creator. We can see your stuff. We can buy your stuff on CamilleRoseGarcia.com, and it really it's a feast for the senses. Camille, go on your website.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It is.
I'm not a minimalist. No.
No. All right.
No.
Thank you so much for doing this. I'm going to kill the Facebook Live. Stay right there. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, whatever it is you're doing with this. We appreciate it.
Thanks.